This match here with PooLD and FH. And of course, we've got Poo with the very first pick here in this match. Pre-bans coming out shortly.
Just on the strength of the unit, I'm expecting to see a Veronica ban here, and then for FH, there's the Oliver. So the two of the top tierest units in the meta, both pre-banned for this first match. I'm not even going to hazard a guess what the first pick is. They both have incredibly diverse. Well, I mean, Shizuka. I guess I should have just went with Shizuka. It's always Shizuka. Miles Raccoon, really, really interesting. So the nice thing about Miles Raccoon, like Raccoon is really good into Shizuka. And then Miles obviously is effectively an LD monster himself. He doesn't really care about elemental advantage too much. He gets a lot of extra speed. He's just like a really, really safe pick, especially if you know they're very unlikely to Leo. So here we're seeing Jemire Praha, which typically I would expect whenever resets are in play, but they have already pre-banned two of the most prominent pre-bans. So maybe he's just using it as a fixer knowing the Volantis is coming out. So here's the other very good LD unit on FH's side, which is the Volantis. And then the Juno is sort of like a preemptive counter pick. And also it's really, really good into Shizuka. So that plays a really good, that plays a big role against everything currently on PooLD's side. Kind of flashes the Oberon, which is a nice aggressive pick, especially when paired with the Shizuka. But he decides to go more healing, more sustain, and then Camilla providing some damage. The primary damage will then be probably Jemire or Camilla. But there's no resets on FH's side, so Abellio is really, really strong here. Riley comes out to provide the immunity. And also more sustain, because potentially the Raccoon just isn't enough. I'm expecting to see the Riley banned, however, because it's 4 water units and that's a wind sustain, so it's very likely going to go away.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Riley's definitely going to get the ban here. I love seeing the Camilla. I believe this is, since the Camilla's gotten buffed, this is our first Legendary Tournament where we get to see a unit like this able to take Spotlight, and it looks like Camilla's going to be making her way to the field. One of my more favorite units in this game. Praha is going to get the ban. Miles is going to get the ban. We've got a crit rate lead for FH and a speed lead for PooLD. Let's get into our very first match in a best of 5 between FH and PooLD.
So right off the bat, I kind of think PooLD is favored in this case because he has Jemire to fix up everything going on over there. However, Shizuka is not super useful into Raccoon Juno. And in addition, once Volantis finally gets to drop skills on PooLD, you again have the Jemire to fix it up, and Camilla's effectively immune to it. So I don't know. This is actually super interesting because PooLD has better kill potential, but at the same time, like, I don't know, there's so much sustain on both sides. I feel like this is going to come down to something really, really random.
And I hope it comes down to Camilla. I want to see Camilla succeed in this match. My girl needs to come through, and we'll find out if she's got what it takes here. But we've got Riley trying to heal up the team, well, keep the team as healthy as possible. Volantis, a nice little stun there back on the Abellio.
Yeah, well, I mean, and so in this matchup, actually, like, the fight could go long enough that Camilla just starts, like, that Camilla's damage just ramps up from the progression of the match, that you may actually get your wish. And Camilla will, because eventually Camilla is just going to, like, start killing things with, you know, like, a single violent proc. And the game is kind of engineered, and like, currently, to keep the match going until it gets to that point. So, I mean, that may be the plan all along.
Yeah, probably. Now, there's no defense breaks that can land on this field because there's not a unit on this field that can offer the defense break. So we're not going to see some insane like value and volatility off of a third skill coming out of Shizuka. So Camilla's not taking advantage of any of this. So I think that's exactly what you're saying is as the match progresses, attacks going up and HP is going down, we're going to see Camilla start to really, really hit hard here. But also units like that Juno's going to start putting out some bigger numbers as well.
Yeah, but so later in the match, I think Camilla should have a pretty easy time against Juno, and Abellio obviously also is a surprisingly good DPS unit. And so once Jemire dies, there's not going to be a super obvious target for the Juno to start working on. And I think the match is going to, at that, like it feels like FH is doing really good damage right now, but at the same time, it's because he has one particularly good target to focus on. And after that target's dead, I think it will look a little bit more equitable.
Definitely. With those attack buffs, sometimes it makes it feel everybody kind of feels like a damage dealer when you have attack buff on anything. They're able to put out a lot more damage having that up there. Like even, you know, Juno, Volantis, they're able to do a lot more damage when they have this attack buff. So kind of nice for FH and the sustain to keep his team alive as well. So we'll see where things go later on.
So he finally finishes Jemire, and I guess we will now get to see whether my surmise is correct. One nice thing about the Juno is it's keeping Shizuka from being able to really use her third skill. And yeah, so his plan now is mostly just to pump out enough dots with Volantis that I guess he can overwhelm the enemy team. But as I said, he still doesn't have a super good answer for Camilla.
But Camilla hasn't even landed that skill 2 yet. I feel like every time we've seen a skill 2, nothing has happened from it.
The classic Abellio proc coming out. This isn't going to be enough to kill. If he goes for Volantis, it's going to be it's going to be pretty good damage, and it was. But I think I think that's not low enough for Camilla to kill, even if Camilla Violent procs. But I mean, you never know. Like but if he manages to secure the Volantis, unfortunately, I think that was a non-crit. Actually, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely a non-crit. That was very, very low damage as well. Got more sustain coming out with Riley, and of course, this unit loves getting its additional turns here. But so does Shizuka, even though she doesn't really need anything. She's got all of her skills up here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the game plan on PooLD's side is literally just to survive until he can actually kill stuff, because his damage is surprisingly low, but it's kind of ramping up. Like you'll notice, like the Wild Blow, not even in animal form, took a third off of Juno. So like, and if he gets the Juno down, like Shizuka's going to be able to third skill, and that'll be a really, really big deal for this match.
It definitely will be. That third skill is going to offer a lot of value for PooLD here. It looks like he's going to use the skill anyways, knowing that Juno's still alive here.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just hoping. I guess actually, I don't know. Oh, that was really close. Oh, and he secures it. That is an incredible move. I was expecting the Juno to cut there, but now it's actually looks very favored towards PooLD.
Definitely. That was kind of the transition there. I thought he was a little early on that third skill. I was agreeing with you not to use the third skill with the Juno still live on the field, but able to go back to back with the Abellio and Camilla shut down that Juno.
Yeah, so the Volantis, I mean, so he secures the Shizuka kill, but like, so he has the ability to potentially drop the Abellio below, like, sort of its critical hit point threshold with dots, but I'm not sure that's actually going to happen. Oh yeah, this is really tough to call. Like, Abellio again is going to be ramping up pretty quickly in terms of damage, but I mean, so is Volantis, and obviously the FH's side has attack buff, which is going to be a significant advantage in this sort of like later game, like ramped up stats gameplay. But
yep,
I mean, it's, at some point it's going to be literally just who violent procs and two-shot something first.
Yeah, there's that second skill. Once again, Camilla just can't land it.
Yeah, I think, did you catch which, are we at 60% yet on the attack?
Oh, I did not catch that to see what our attack up and the HP down is. No, I did miss that.
So it looks like he might get to secure the kill on Abellio right here, unless he violent procs. So I don't think Camilla solos those three, but because the damage is just so high now. Like he really needs to basically kill Volantis this turn.
So much damage from the Camilla, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think FH is feeling a little comfy here. This is just the first match. We've dragged it out so long.
Yeah, this is definitely showcasing the power of bruisers and healing, or at least showcasing something. I'm not sure exactly what.
We're showcasing some damage from Raccoon and a 70 up, 70 down, and there you have it. FH taking down PooLD there in our very first match. It does feel like it could have been a second or a third match, but no, guys, that was our first match.
Yeah, they're definitely giving us our money's worth on this one. So I will say that I kind of expect one of them to, well, in the next match, we're going to be able to see Oliver. We're going to see Veronica. I expect both of those together is going to make the match go much quicker because obviously skill control on the healers is going to be very, very important. So very likely the next match will not be quite as long as that one.
Yeah, I would assume that as well. I think FH is going to go back to turn one play style. But does he go turn one play style and then just let his opponent draft to counter? Or do you think he actually goes back to not something as slow because he has more units available?
I think with the availability of Oliver Veronica is just one of those combos that is so strong that if you're allowed to have it, you kind of can overpower a lot of turn 2 drafts, even ones that look like they should counter it, and yeah, it's a very strong combo.
Yeah, let's find out here. We've got our pre-bans from last time. The Oliver, the Veronica, now available. New pre-bans getting locked in here, and I do believe FH has the first pick because I think PooLD had it last time. I can't remember.
I kind of think we're going to see a Volantis ban this time, and there it is. And so Miles is an interesting one because Miles is one of the few units that will probably outspeed the Veronica reliably, that fits into a turn 2 comp really, really well. So that's probably why we saw that pre-ban. And then Oliver first pick, which is 100% expected. Probably going to see a Shizuka, probably going to see... Oh, never mind, he didn't. So Jemire, as I mentioned, is a fixer for those resets. And then Sekhmet itself is another way you could outspeed Veronica. So he's definitely challenging him for speed this time, but we're probably going to see a turn 2 pivot in the remaining units is my expectation. Shizuka, kind of interesting because it also fixes up some of those cooldown resets. It also, obviously, immunity is a really big deal. It's just we're seeing basically a bunch of very top tier meta units right now. Jemire maybe not so much, but the other ones are just heavily seen at all levels. And then there's flashing the Raccoon to let him know what's up. Nikki, another very, very strong unit, as mentioned, coming out on FH's side. And then what will the last pick be? So Oberon, very, very strong when used. Ooh, Giselle, that's a spicy one. So Oberon is very, very strong with Shizuka because you can build it very high DPS and then simply bring it back to nuke something down. So it almost requires you to ban either Shizuka or Oberon. Usually I think people ban the Oberon over the Shizuka, but I guess we will find out. Although he does have resets. Definitely. I mean, I'm kind of expecting to see either... I was going to say either a Sekhmet or Jemire, but I was kind of trying to think if maybe there was going to be... Usually people ban one of the last picks, but in this case they didn't do either. Or they didn't do that on either side, so...
Yeah, well, let's find out, guys. We get into round number 2 here with FH and PooLD. We've got a little bit of a different draft compared to that very first match. That was interesting. Didn't get to see too much happen right there.
So as one of our most favorite streamers often says, Veronica's an inconsistent unit with 100% activation rate. So that's actually super unlucky, and that's either a very weak Oberon or a very strong Gianna. Unfortunately, that reset makes this very difficult or missing those resets makes this very difficult for FH. I kind of think we're going to see PooLD take this pretty quickly, especially since the Oberon didn't kill. Like, and nothing is working out right now for FH.
No,
other than the fact that Oliver
was very rough. Yeah, besides that, I mean, Oliver does have that power to, you know, take over a match if you can get everything and all the turn cycle, of course, the violent procs happening on top of that as well. So we'll see what happens, because even the violent proc here isn't super impactful if he does get it, but we'll see what happens as we get deeper into this match here with the Ventilate going back onto that Veronica.
So the invincibility is going to stop that bomb from killing the Veronica, but I don't think he has strip anymore. Actually, I don't. Sorry, I lost track of the cooldowns for Gianna. But so Veronica has reset skills now, so he's going to get to go in again for that inconsistent third skill, and he's protected for a long time. So, but here's the counter reset. Probably going to go down on Veronica.
Definitely lands, and lands true on top of that. Veronica, we do have a second skill available. Maybe going to put that on top of the Abelio to help push back that attack bar. Ends up going for the Gianna instead, though.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's looking sort of more favored towards FH, just because Veronica, like, Oliver is going to have free reign on 2 units on PooLD's side. And I'm pretty sure PooLD is basically out of, like, well, he does have the heal. But he's starting to run low on his cooldowns. Like, if he could survive the next few turns, like, he has the ability to, he'll potentially have the ability to turn it around. But I think Giselle is going to be cycling on this next turn as well.
Yeah, you can tell FH is really trying to get rid of that Gianna. He wants to be able to get his invincibility, not have to worry about losing that to the one stripper on the field. Well, I guess Segment counts as one of the strippers as well, but you can see there's that defense buff coming up here, and more damage coming towards that Gianna. Gianna was able to finish off that Oberon, though. Ooh, and he's going to concede that match. And there you have it, guys. PooLD does clap back there, and he is taking round number 2.
Yeah, I was a little bit, I got mixed up on Giselle's cooldown. I was kind of expecting it to cycle slightly faster. Actually, did they nerf that skill? Unfortunately, it's not a unit I have, so I don't keep up with it.
So it did receive a nerf, and what that nerf was, I can't tell you on the top of my head right now, because it's not a unit that I really worry about at all. But yes, it did receive some form of a nerf, though.
Okay. Yeah, so that was super interesting. Honestly, I think the most pivotal point in that match was actually the fact that the Oberon did not kill the Gianna. Like, that was literally like this man did R5 for like 20 extra minutes more than everybody else. He had like 300 extra hit points. That was so close to being the end of the game that, like, yeah, that was a very big moment.
Definitely was. That could have been the game changer there that took FH into a 2-run victory over LD right now. But I mean, keep in mind, guys, this is a game 5, and both players with 1 victory under their belt still feeling pretty comfortable here as we get into round number 3. Pre-bans from last time, Miles and Volantis, are now available as we get into round number 3. New pre-bans getting locked in. It is going to be the Oliver and the Veronica as well.
Yeah, that's 100% expected. It's going to probably bounce between Veronica and Volantis every round on the part of PooLD. First pick here is going to be kind of interesting, because it'll be interesting to see if he changes his draft up. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the first pick Shizuka again. Like, she's just so strong, and she sort of enables a bunch of different pivots that it's just too strong not to take early. And if that gets locked in, the Miles coming back out again, like, neutral damage, very good with Raccoony. Like, Raccoony boosts his damage via the buff. They're just, like, very synergistic. And then, the classic, more turn cycling, really, really strong units. Kraka is kind of interesting this early into what FH has. Nikki, though, is just a very, very strong all-around pick. He hasn't locked it in yet, so maybe he's going to... Oh, he decided to change it up. Classic. Get rid of those LDs, get the elementals back in, and he just throws the Nikki over the fence. So Chungpung, interesting because very, very strong in the meta, but at the same time, this is the first time this tournament that we have actually seen it in play. Obviously, a really, really strong response to a wind, water heavy picks from PooLD. So that's going to be a big threat that's going to have to be dealt with. I kind of expect to see a couple of fire units. Maybe we're going to see a fire monkey. And then, but no, he opts actually to go potentially for the outspeed. So we may see a speed lead, maybe Jumire. So potentially like Jumire Ethna here. PooLD does like his Jumire.
Ooh.
And no, the other classic, one of the other most meta units, Ragdoll. And then no resets on the side of PooLD. So Beelzebub, very, very strong last pick typically. I really hope he locks in. I'm blanking on his name right now. I always want to call him Oscar for some reason. Oh, never mind.
I like the Oscar, but Carlos.
Carlos, yeah. For some reason, he's Oscar in my head forever. But anyway, he goes back to Beelzebub. Beelzebub is an incredible last pick in a bruiser fight where they do not have a reset on the field. Because effectively, it can potentially be a force ban. He leaves it in, though. So
I can't believe he left that in. I saw the Beelzebub and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It's getting banned out immediately, but that's not what's happening. Chungpung Ethna getting banned out, guys, as we get into round number 3 with some very different drafting compared to our previous matches with these two players.
So one thing about the Beelzebub pick is typically you're looking to draft it into people with AEs because they're sort of forced to potentially kill it / damage it to where its damage begins to ramp up. And as you may notice, PooLD really only has single target DPS units. So Beelzebub isn't quite as scary in that sort of a team or against that kind of a team. So maybe he's just betting on being able to control the damage into it long enough.
Let's see where this damage is going to be going. Does get the defense break, does get cleansed up by the Raccoon. So it looks like PooLD wants to get rid of this Nikki first.
Yeah, and it looks like Miles is probably going to just focus, I'm guessing, on Shizuka. Because if he can get rid of Shizuka, then he doesn't have the ability to... and this is again, this is one of the reasons why Miles is just insane. Just straight up one violent proc, delete Shizuka, looking very, very good for FH right now. And even if he loses Nikki, he can just bring it right back with Beelzebub. Like, Beelzebub is incredible in a situation like this. He may try to stun lock. I don't know, he's just going for Miles.
Yeah, really good value there with that violent proc. Able to take out the Nikki. Gets the defense break on top of the Miles. Of course, it's going to get cleansed up by the Raccoon, and the unit of choice for FH is to go after this Wind Monkey King first.
Yeah, he's probably mostly just trying to avoid getting stunned until, like, say the Miles attack bar gets synced up well with the Raccoon to where it'll get cleansed. Because attacking the monkey first is always kind of a unfortunate situation, and there he probably really wants to kill Ragdoll, but at the same time he can maybe force the monkey to hurt Beelzebub by attacking something else.
Whoa, there's that stun going out onto the Miles. Not what FH needed to see right there. Of course, Abelio is going to be healing up the team with additional turn coming out here. Wild Blow is going to be enough to finish off that Miles as well. PooLD looking pretty solid right now.
Yeah, he's hoping to kill something here. And actually what's interesting is he's going to keep... Oh, see, this is... I'm pretty sure that PooLD has finished it here. So Beelzebub is going to come back once this Raccoon dies, but then it's going to be a Beelzebub and some other unit versus whatever he has remaining on the field, and it should... I believe it's random which unit gets resurrected, so depending on which unit he gets, it may or may not be winnable, but I still think he's probably got too tough a road ahead.
Definitely, this is really interesting because we're just... A lot of people, if they don't know, think like, why is FH still in this match right now with just a Raccoon? Is Raccoon that good to win this match right here? But honestly, we're just waiting for the Raccoon to die, for that Beelzebub to pop up.
Yeah, so he probably kills Abelio, is my guess.
Needs to kill it.
No,
does kill the monkey, though.
Oh, Miles is pretty good here, but... he's gonna have to really control this. I mean, with a good proc. So that's actually really rough. Good stun though. Only a 50% chance to activate, and he manages to land it. So if he procs right here, he actually could potentially win.
Let's see if he goes for the wild blow. Does he hold on to it, or does he try to go for the stuns instead? Does go for the wild blow. No additional turns are coming out here. He needs to land this stun with Miles and try to keep himself alive for as long as possible. Oh, with his additional turn, PooLD taking round number 3 away from FH.
Yeah, the one downside to the Ragdoll remaining is Ragdoll reflects damage, which usually doesn't. It's not inconsequential, but it's not like a ton. But in a situation where they have a healer and you don't, like it slowly starts to add up. Like Miles actually mostly killed itself, other than the single wild blow. So I mean, it's in this situation, it was actually a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. I did think maybe that Beelzebub had what it takes to take that match. I was actually surprised it was able to one-shot that Wind Monkey King. I was actually worried for a minute. I was like, does the Wind Monkey King actually survive the Beelzebub?
Yeah, I mean, ignoring defense is really good. And also, it was further in the game as well. So, like, the monkey was starting to get slightly frail. And, the Beelzebub gets stronger, obviously.
Yep, definitely. That was a really good pick. That last pick, Luckin and the Beelzebub. I definitely prefer the Beelzebub over the Kalos. I think the Kalos could have made an interesting draft, but I feel like the Beelzebub did make it a little bit safer, even though it didn't work out for FH there. But we've got a wild matchup here. Where we thought FH, being the more aggressive, quicker player here, but FH, he's PooLD playing his game here, and he's got a match up on him.
Yeah, so I kind of expect the pre-bans to go back. Again, I think they're just going to keep flip-flopping between those two sets of bans. Like, I think we're going to see a Volantis ban, and then I don't think we'll see a Shizuka ban, specifically because I believe FH has first pick in this match. And so he probably won't pre-ban it because he's planning on picking it. But then obviously Veronica and Oliver are going to be in play. So actually, no, it's probably going to be an Oliver first pick. Never mind. Oh, never mind. He bans the Oliver. So now I do expect to see a Shizuka first pick. But then again, he has so many LDs, like it could be something unexpected. But no, Shizuka first pick. PooLD. Maybe the Ethna Jemire setup, or potentially like Sekhmet Jemire. That would also work really well into Shizuka. So Sekhmet in Praha, super interesting. He used it a lot in his previous game, but not so much this one yet. But here she comes. Classic Volantis Juno. Really strong combination, although maybe less strong into like Sekhmet Praha, because the Juno doesn't, like, Praha kind of counters Juno in a lot of ways. So I don't know, like in this case the Juno is literally just a defensive pick because Juno is so good into Shizuka and Volantis. Less so to actually counter what PooLD currently has on the field. Abellio, really like, just again, generally good unit. Veramos as a direct counter to Volantis and Juno. I mean, actually a direct counter to most everything that FH currently has on the field. Nikki is kind of interesting because the heal block will be fixed by the Veramos, but is just a really strong unit. And then Kraka, if he locks it in, more turn cycling, gives you the armor breaks to be reapplied with Shizuka. And yeah, just a really strong draft overall. I kind of am liking FH's draft currently. PooLD going back to the Riley as another way of fixing up the Volantis situation. But Raccoony is picked instead. Goodbye 5 stars. Welcome to the 3-star meta. The rat is ever present get used to it.
That is a fact. Raccoon making his way to the field again, dodging the ban this time. Abelio and Crack is going to get banned out here. HP leads for both players. Is PooLD going to hold on with all of the sustain that he has on his field, or can FH take another game going into a game 5? Let's find out, guys, with Sekhmet kicking things off here with a reset, landing true on Shizuka.
Yeah, this is actually, I feel like PooLD had the much better ban here because he has 2 effectively direct counters to Volantis as well as Shizuka. And then he reset Shizuka, so she is not going to be able to re-immunity. Yeah, in this situation, Veramos is just incredibly strong. And then Raccoon adds the turn cycling. Like, we're going to see... once Veramos gets to start AEing, I think we're going to, like, depending on what he lands, this could be really pivotal. He lands on the 2 support units, and Volantis doesn't really have too much effect in this matchup.
Yeah, nice little defense break landing on top of the Juno. Praz able to pump some damage on top of that, and that is exactly what he's going to be doing here. I think he does just keep trying to take advantage of the Juno, because if that unit's not in the field anymore, you know, I feel like he doesn't have to worry too much. I guess not worry too much about anything at all, really.
Yeah, he has a... Yeah, exactly. Like, only the... Well, Nikki and Juno are the 2 main threats, and Nikki right now is heal blocked, so if he manages to... Well, she has heal. Okay. So the game is now reset almost to the beginning, except for that Sekhmet is very almost dead. Except now we've actually reset the game to the very beginning.
Yeah, that Shizuka second skill going right back onto the Nikki, acting as like pseudo ventilate, help getting the cooldowns down on the Nikki again to get that cleansing heal back up.
Yeah, So he resets the Shizuka, good land on with no resist. So we still don't have to worry about like re-immunitying. I don't think he's gonna strip here. He probably goes in on Juno is my guess. Oh no, Shizuka time. And then no sleep, so no continued cycling. Yeah, I feel like this is going to kind of continue where they just keep healing themselves up until someone gets like a nice proc string going on. Because this is...
Why is it always
again,
the game 5s that are like this?
Yeah, but I mean, and Veramos just fixes all the... I mean, again, it's like they both have managed to draft against each other really, really well. I think the biggest wild card here is actually this Nikki. Mostly because, 1, it can heal block, and 2... with the right violent procs, it can, you know, like it can sort of, because it can effectively proc more than 1 time, it has a way of swinging the match in a way that a lot of other units can't.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Nikki's not looking super hot right now after that brilliant 3rd skill, doing a lot of damage on the side of PooLD. PooLD desperately trying to get rid of Nikki, but there's that 2nd skill once again coming out of Nikki. The Shizuka skill 2 is acting like a ventilate, you know, getting that skill 2 back up on Nikki is just extremely helpful for FH.
That was a very good stun. I think, I'm not sure what the state of Praha's heal is. I wasn't paying attention on her last turn. So if she procs here, then she resets and heals Sekhmet again. She did not. So I expect we probably see a Sekhmet kill in this. Oh, that was, if that had crit, then that would have been it, but... He probably resets Shizuka again. Now he just
that was a big dice roll, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was an incredible revenge, but he is going to get to secure the kill on the Nikki.
Or not. I don't know why he didn't go for to secure the kill on the Nikki. I feel like that was kind of important to do that. Opt to not go for that, just trying to heal up the team here.
I mean, he's still going to get it, so I mean, he has that going for him at least. I feel like, so that's a 2-for-2 stun from the Juno. Praha does a lot of damage as the game continues, but so does Juno. And unfortunately, but Shizuka has skills now.
Yeah, Shizuka with that skill 2 bringing back Nikki, it's just super consistent. Because I feel like you always have that second skill up when you're bringing the unit back. So much damage.
Yeah, I think that basically wraps it up. He's going to finish Veramos here, and then the cleansing is not going to be nearly... I don't think it'll be nearly enough to stop Volantis from doing what he's going to do.
Well, Raccoon's going to need
I
a
don't know.
lot
Actually,
of
if he procs here... Let's say if he procs here and finishes Shizuka, that could have been... That actually could have been it, but...
That's going to be it right there. Gets dots, kills both units with the Juno. FH taking round number 4 away from PooLD. And just like that, guys, we go into a round 5. You know, I love it when we get a round 5 here in the final. It's just, it's exactly what I'm hoping for, you know, every time.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's kind of cool to see. I mean, especially because, like, it's not my favorite kind of draft that they're doing, but at the same time, they almost perfectly counter drafted each other. I mean, obviously on the defensive side, so it feels like no one does anything, and the game goes, you know, to the end. But it's actually because, you know, it's like, oh, you have this very strong ability. Well, I have this strategic ability that fixes your ability, and then just like, but I have one that fixes your ability. You know, it's like it was really well drafted on both sides. Given like the starting point that they came from.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like when they see one person just going like heavy sustain, they can't help but try to, like, you know, counter with their own form of sustain as well. Like, you don't want that war of attrition as to why, you know, whatever you're trying to do doesn't work when, you know, they're just gonna, you know, bounce back and sustain the team.
So we're probably gonna see an Oliver Veronica ban again. Because PooLD has first pick, I believe, and so FH probably pre-bans Oliver, and then PooLD comes back with that Veronica pre-ban. And that's exactly what we see. Veronica, again, basically two of the strongest units in the current meta. And then they're essentially banning based on who has first pick in this case. PooLD, probably Shizuka. Like, it's just how it is.
I agree with it.
And then I think we've seen this draft for the 3rd time. Wake me up, am I dreaming? But yeah, Miles Raccoon, again, super duper strong, very, very, like, the main thing is it's a really like defensive pick because it kind of handles most stuff. Miles really doesn't have too many direct counters other than like Leo. And then PooLD, living up to his name, drops a couple LDs as pick 2-3. So Nikki Kraka, also what I would consider almost like really not generic, but they're like really good picks, like that work against a lot of stuff. And then the Chungpung trying to sneak its way back into the game with the Gianna, so that's sort of like a built-in really good initiation if both of those remain in the game. Ethna comes in, and that actually counters, like, say, the Gianna directly, like essentially CCs the Gianna first turn. So it's an on. So he's trying to make it so he doesn't have to ban one of those two. And then Jemire also a direct counter to the Chungpung. Like if he leaves Chungpung in, he'll reset and fix the whole thing up. And then the ever-present Volantis coming in last pick. I think we're going to potentially see a Jemire ban because Ethna's not crazy good into. I mean, Ethna's pretty good into most of FH's team. But so yeah, so now we're going to see.
That's the Jemire ban, exactly like you were saying, banning out the speed lead. Chungpung's going to get banned. We have a defense lead for both of these players here. Guys, this is round number 5. This is going to decide who's going to be our champion for Season 25. Ethna kicking things off, not receiving a stun on top of Gianna.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate miss. He's gonna have to be thinking about whether he should bomb here because that'll like give bombs to Shizuka. And we have Nikki actually resisting the stun, which means that I actually didn't check the tuning or see the tuning previously, but if Nikki is tuned in front of Shizuka, she may be able to fix up that entire CC situation.
No additional turns, and I spoke too soon. We get an additional turn coming out of the Shizuka to get third skill, and only one stun's gonna land on the field.
Probably it's 100 res. Basically, there's two philosophies on the Shizuka, either 100 res or high accuracy. It probably is 100 res Shizuka, is my guess.
Well, let's see what happens here. We've got skills available. Just goes for a skill 1, looking for a sleep on top of Gianna, not receiving anything. Looks like the unit of choice here for FH to go after is the Kraka. We can see a second skill, bring it back Ethna. Ethna looking for a shatter to shatter nothing.
Lands literally nothing. So it's looking pretty bad at this exact. Oh, never mind. Here comes Ethna. But it was looking pretty bad for PooLD. I still think that at this point, like FH is really, really far ahead. And in addition, like, yeah, so like he no longer has a cleanse. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is actually over, and we're just like watching the cleanup.
Yeah,
because
sure
Miles
it's over as well.
Like it's I don't think Shizuka would be able to turn cycle Kraka enough to be able to get another resurrect. He will be able to finish somebody off here. Probably Gianna. Oh, nope, goes Volantis. Oh, he doesn't finish it though. That's unfortunate. But we do have Kraka there for cleanup. He's gonna probably try to despair the Miles. Oh, never mind, he went Gianna, but he did get the despair, so that's really nice. If he procs here, he could save Kraka and also cool down its skill one time, but he did not get it.
Oof, did not get it. Is the skill 2 enough with Shizuka to bounce back? I mean, he could bring back Krak, but I don't think Kraka's got skills available for skill 3. Brings back the Nikki to hope for this third skill. Let's see what it does here. We know it does a lot of damage. Was able to take out the Gianna. Miles is still holding on. He needs additional turns to come from for this Shizuka to try to do absolutely anything, and he does have potential third skill coming out if he does get the additional turn.
Yeah, if he procs here, he will be able to put the... Actually, did he ever put down the buff to save himself? I'm not sure if he did, but he does get to CC them for a turn.
Yeah, that was very, very lucky. He's got the skill too.
Oh.
Once again, obviously he can't put this on himself though.
So he goes for the Miles here, and then I think he's gonna... Oh, no, he doesn't have boot skill. So this is not, unfortunately, going to kill.
Ooh, the strip was enough. Pumps up the Miles, and that is definitely gonna be it. FH taking down PooLD, and he is named our Seasons 25 Legend Tournament champion.
Congratulations to FH, and that was really well fought. Like I think the first 4 matches were maybe like a little bit less decided than the last one, but I mean even that last one came right down to the wire. That was, you know, like that was a 1v2, everything at low hit points. Those were really well balanced fights.
And we saw a little bit of RNG in the form of Violent Procs trying to keep his team alive, because we know how impactful Shizuka can be with Violent Procs, whether it's the skill 2, the skill 3 to keep him back. And, you know, he got a little lucky there, but I don't know. If he had skills up on the Ethna, maybe it could have been a little bit different, but he didn't have much going for him when he brought up that Ethna.
Yeah, unfortunately. Like if he had even like probably one extra turn in there,